Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be reviewing a pro game. Black is Kitani Minoru and white is Hayashi Yutaro. Not sure if I pronounced those right, but this was played in 1947 in the Honibo Challengers Tournament. And let's get started. So I find this game very interesting because white plays a very unusual opening, and then black plays this one, which looks a bit strange. But I'm assuming it's because if you play like this one, it can get pretty complicated. Or after black tries to go here, there's like this attach, and it just gets really complicated. And if he tries to play like the normal one, it just feels like black is kind of surrounded in the corner, and white gets stuff on the outside. So I feel like this move is trying to avoid all of those complications. White just takes the corner, and black tanukis. I think black could also have played something like this, but maybe he was worried about white trying to take like a really big corner here, or maybe this one is just good enough. But I think that would have been possible. And this is very common in this era. More modern, I think, would be something like this, and then approaching, or even a 3-3. But this wasn't really a thing at this time. So he just played here. So if black were to play something like this, when white goes here, white gets kind of perfect shape here. There's not much black can do there. It still feels like it'd be possible because I'm not sure where black can play, but if it goes something like this, playing here feels like the top side is pretty nice. Maybe even something further like this. So that also seems playable. But instead he plays this move, which is trying to stop white from getting the ideal shape here, and makes it a little bit harder for white to decide what to do. So connecting under obviously just would not be that good. And pressing here also seems kind of possible. But again, it's hard to come up with a way to deal with this stone. If you connect under, again, black feels good. And if you run out, black runs out, and it feels like white might get weak and attacked. So what I probably would do here as white would be just to tanuki over here. Black, I don't think really has a good local move here. If he tries to connect under, white can just cut here, and black is kind of forced to just live in the corner, and white gets a very nice outside. And even if black tries to cut somewhere, then I'm not sure, but it feels like white can kind of just go here and then try and get out somewhere. And it feels like black doesn't really have time to attack this because he has his own weak group. So it'd probably kind of turn into like a running fight like this. And it's hard to say if that's better, but I feel like this is how I would prefer to play it. Because when white plays this move, it just doesn't feel good for white. So like, say, if black goes here, black can just tanuki and leave this area. If white goes here, this feels like a good exchange for black. And later on, there's still some aji here that he can mess with. In the game, he does back off here. And white splits this side. This does feel very big, but I still feel like the top side is the biggest area. Because, like I said, black doesn't really have a good move here. And it feels like, I don't know, a Sanren-sei or something over here doesn't feel like it's that big. But I can't say the split is bad. Black finally comes back over here and splits to try and keep both of these groups weak. And now that black has stones here, it feels like the attack should be pretty okay. White just makes a base. Black just defends his corner. And another base here. And defends his corner. See, I really like these from old games. You don't really see this in modern Go too much. But I really like the idea of just defending your weak group. Defend weak group. Defend weak group. Defend weak group. It feels like it's probably an even result. So maybe in modern Go, they want to try to be a little bit more efficient and be more active. But to me, the simplicity here is just, I like it a lot better. And again, white just comes back to try and defend his weakest group. So now this group has a lot more eye shape, And I believe this move seems it seems kind of small, but I think it's very big. Black goes here, white goes here, and this group seems very safe to me. But in the game, white just tanukis here to try and take some more points and make this group stronger. And black just responds. And white finally plays at the top side here, which I think is a very big move. But I feel like it's a little bit too late. I feel like this is the more urgent side. And so is white, I would still play in this corner to make my group strong. If black tanukis here, it doesn't feel like that good because like this is here, so he's not going to make much points here, and this is very low. And after this move here, white is very strong, so it feels like he can put some more pressure on these two black stones. But in the game, he played here, and if I was black, I would just tanuki right away and play here to try and make this group weaker. And that's because I can't really think of a good move for black to play over here that seems like a good result. Like if you play this one, like he just goes here, you have a weak group. So it feels like the best move is this attach. But after this one, like it looks like a weak group kind of floating, and it just doesn't feel very good. And white can still play this cut as well, where black is just forced to live in the corner, and this also feels good for white. Black played here. I'm guessing he didn't like backing off here, and then having this group kind of just floating here. So I think he chose to just kind of live in the corner small and get at least some points while taking points away from white. And maybe there's a little bit more Aji on the outside. But again, it feels like just attacking this group seems bigger. Okay, so black lives, but it seems very small, and white has Sente. But the outside still has some weaknesses, unlike the other variation. Okay, and white plays here. So in modern games, I feel like you don't really see moves like this anymore, because it's very easy for black to just reduce this area. And it's not really good for points, because black can just kind of slide here to get rid of the points. And it's also too far away from the corner to really pressure it. So this move feels like it doesn't really do much, but it's hard to say it's a bad move, but you don't really see it in modern games anymore. But black just defends anyway. He's aiming at this weakness here, so he can make his corner very strong and do it in Sente. Black plays here. So this move could probably be considered slow, but it's very powerful. It's making the corner very strong. There's no like attachment Aji anymore. It's aiming at reducing this side. It also makes it where it's easier to jump out to the center. And it's making at least a few points. So it feels like a very Kitani-like move. I don't think white should respond, though. Playing at A still feels like the biggest move. Like whoever plays there, it feels like they get an advantage because this group becomes very weak, or it becomes very strong if white plays there. And black finally just invades here. This move is like extremely territorial. I don't think it can be considered very good for black, but it is Kitani style to play moves like this. Because he does connect under, he takes all of white's points away. White is not exactly 100% alive, and he still has Sente. But again, very territorial. So it's hard to say this is good. Okay, and black finally gets this point, which just feels very big. Just connecting here would be very heavy, and a ko doesn't seem that great here. So he just tries to play light shape, jumping out. So now this is black's weakest group, so he needs to do something to help with that. So he jumps out here. And again, white has two weakish groups. Like this can be, there's attaches here and stuff like that. This doesn't exactly have two eyes, so keeping them split seems very important. This helps keep the game simple. If he tries to cap right away, black can play this move, which gives him some eye shape, but I'm not sure if this is something to worry about or not. But this definitely keeps the game a lot simpler. Okay, and black just has to run out. White goes here. So this move, it might feel like weird timing because it looks like white can just push through. But there's this attach here. And I believe no matter what white plays, it doesn't quite work. So if he just tries to run out here, Black can just push through like this, and this should be dead. If he tries this one, I think it's the same. You can cut here, but eventually black will just cut this off, and the ladder is good for black, so he can just run it out. Or can play the Ko, either way, but running it out probably is better. And white doesn't have any forcing moves to really threaten black in the corner. White can try this one, but this one also I think just doesn't work. He just turns here, and even though black might get surrounded, it feels like black would have more liberties. So white just defends, and then black comes back and fixes. White plays in this corner, but I feel like it's better shape to play here, because he can still aim at this jump later, and also there's still some Aji here to where he can threaten to cut through. In the game, black just was able to connect like this in Sente, and it just feels a little too easy for black. White can also consider this, but after this, there's no more cutting issues. It feels like it'd be really hard to cut through here, and there is some Aji with the cuts here. So playing here is probably best, just to limit the Aji there. I think this is just another very Kitani move. It's probably not needed, but it does fix all of the Aji here. So later on in the game, he doesn't have to worry about it and can fight. White makes the last big extension, and black is trying to reduce the center here. And black just tries to go here. White does have to block here. If he tries something else, he can kind of push here and cut in Sente. And then this group has some Aji, so it makes it a lot easier for black to just run out. This feels maybe a little bit too tight, but it is very solid. And I guess he has forcing moves around here and can try and jump here to make some eye shape. Okay, so he tries to prevent that one. But now he has this move, which is threatening to cut the two stones off. So white has to try and do something to protect it. But even after this, there's still lots of Aji here. It probably won't happen now, but maybe later. So now he got out very easily. He's still not 100% connected, but he can still kind of push out this way and maybe connect to here. So it feels like he has time to play this next move. Because if he can run out here, this group is still not 100% alive. But he does have to be careful about this getting cut off. But there is a lot of Aji, like if he tries to cut this off, there's still Aji with moves like this. So white just simply defends here. And now black just tries to connect to this group in good shape, so he doesn't have to worry about this cut anymore. White kind of pushes through here. It feels a little bit slow, but there is some Aji here, so it's hard to say. But there's already a connection here, and black and white can't prevent it. And black now has Sente to try and reduce the center a little bit more. Okay, this is a very solid move. This group doesn't yet have two eyes, and he's trying to also reduce here and is aiming at Sente moves for endgame later. And this entire black group also doesn't yet have two eyes, so black has to be at least a little bit careful with it. But he goes for a more active move, trying to just get rid of all the potential eyes here, and also makes a few points. But the main thing is just keeping this weak, because if this is weak, then it makes it much harder for white to try and attack this. Okay, so white tries to reduce this as much as possible, but there is some Aji here. Hard to say if this is an overplay or not, but he's trying to keep the pressure on white and keep it reduced to no eyes. Because again, if this stays weak, then black has less to worry about. Black is successful in trying to reduce the eye shape for this group, but white also gets a lot of stones here and is starting to reduce the eye shape of this group. So it becomes a little bit complicated where both sides have to be very careful. White attaches here to try and get some eyes while also reducing black's eyes. And white Hane's under here. So now has some potential eyes here. And there is quite a bit of Aji here now. So black comes and connects. If black were to just connect here, white can just descend. And yeah. White has a very easy time just connecting under, has some eyes here, and this gets cut off. So it feels very important for black to come back and connect. He could also consider just running out here and then just cutting this off, but it looks a lot more risky. But it does seem possible because white is weak here and here. But I think he just wanted to play in a more simple way. So white attaches here. I guess he's trying to make this group a little bit stronger in Sensei by threatening the corner. This is probably a small mistake. This move is very big. Black probably just connects here and white connects. And this now only has one eye. And white makes a few points here and is now connected. So this group is very strong. So black would probably have to try and make another eye somewhere as soon as possible. But instead he plays here. And black quickly just comes back and tries to defend against that. And white peeps here, again threatening to cut this off while also putting some pressure on the black group. And then because black didn't play over here, white comes and reduces the corner quite a bit and also cuts off these two stones. And black needs to live here, and this group's not alive, so white does have to connect here. And after a move like this, black is already alive, because he should have an eye here and an eye here. But it's just a little bit too slow to try that. So he tries to be a little bit more active and jumps here to attack the whole thing. And it seems unlikely that white will just try and run out here, because there's still cutting points, and I think it's pretty easy for black to just connect. So white tries to play this wedge, and black plays this Atari. White turns here. If he tries something like this, it's just pretty obvious. White just gets surrounded. So white turns here. So here I think black has two options. He played this in the game, which is again keeping the two groups separated, so he can still attack this group. And it also helps make these stones a little bit stronger, because if this group is strong and connected, then white can be very aggressive and try to just capture them. Another option is black can just capture here, which reduces the center, makes this group very safe. But after this, white is just connected everywhere. And the whole white group is not 100% alive, but he can connect here, and he can also put pressure on these two stones. So it feels like it'll be okay. I would prefer this over the game move. White finally plays here, which is trying to do multiple things at once. It's trying to connect to this group, and it's also trying to put pressure on this one and also save this one. So it feels like white is trying to do too much here. And black just simply comes back and lives. If black didn't do that and just connected here, white can play here and cut off the three stones, get rid of the eyes here, and black is still not alive and has to come back and live. So you can cut off, make a bunch of points here in Sente. So it's a very big move. And white, I feel like he should have just cut this off. It feels very big, and I don't believe black is able to just surround this. Instead, he just plays here, which is a very solid move. But it feels like white kind of loses his chance to cut these off, because black just comes back and connects next. So this move is also a little bit confusing to me. It feels like a move at A is much bigger, because it's cutting off the entire group, but there's also some weaknesses at B. But because of the Aji with the move around here, it feels like it's not that big of a deal. And this move is not really preventing eyes, I don't think. If he plays here, it feels like black can kind of just go here. If he goes here, it feels like it's pretty easy to reduce. And a move here also makes it very easy to like jump into the center here and reduce it. Like I said, I can't say it's a bad move because the pro played it, obviously. But I would prefer A or something around B. And then white plays here, which again I find kind of odd. Because white can just kind of cut this off. And I don't really see a good way for black to handle it. But I suppose maybe there's just a lot of Aji here. But I don't really see too much. It could also be because there's like a move here. So maybe this move works and it gets really complicated. But I feel like white is behind and needs to try and get more points here. Playing a move like this, it feels like it's kind of just waiting for a mistake. And if it doesn't happen, then he just loses. And it feels like it's very easy for black to keep this game simple. Yeah, he just connects here. White just connects under, or has the opportunity to connect under. But again, this whole group is still not 100% alive. And there's still Aji here to where even if he connects under, black can maybe come and cut it off still. But this turn is very big because it's getting a lot of points in the sensor. But now black can play these forcing moves, getting rid of all the eyes, and then cut it off. And at this point, it just feels very dangerous. So it feels like white has to connect like this somehow, and if black cuts right away, white can just capture. But black could come and try and play a move over here, which is very big. So I think white came to try and defend that first. And if black cuts it off, he can still Atari and just connect under like this. So instead, black plays here, which is trying to prevent that connection under. And he comes back and captures over here, which is trying to get some more eyes on the bottom side. And he starts this ko, which it feels very difficult for white to win this because he doesn't really have that many ko threats. And black can play lots of ko threats. And black should win it because if black wins the ko threat, he's threatening to capture this side. And he's threatening to capture this entire group. So white would have to play really big ko threats. And since black, I think, is already ahead, even a small ko threat win would be good enough. Though this is very big. But it feels unlikely that black would lose it. Okay, so he just connects here, and white starts the ko. So white plays this ko threat, which is very big. But again, white still doesn't have two eyes, because he still would have to play here. And black even has local ko threats here, where if he connects, he can just connect under. So white has to try and prevent that. And that means he also has more moves here, again, threatening to connect under. So he takes back. White realizes he's out of ko threats, so he just has to back off here. Black connects. White connects his groups because he kind of needs to. Black doesn't really have enough strength to do this yet, because white can try and cut this off. But still tons of Aji here, so it might still work. But instead of doing that right away, black is just happy to play here first. And now it's kind of just Miai between killing this or cutting off everything. So at this point, white just resigns. But yeah, it was a very interesting game. Make sure to let me know what you think about it in the comments. And I want to thank my Patreons. I really appreciate the support you give me. And I will see you all next time.